Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Now check this out. Jeff is in the cell with his protege, and they're looking at pictures of his victims, his mother and father, and he's laughing. Now, Jeff, like I say, he's not that much older than him. He's not that much older than him. So he's perplexed by what's really going on. He does not understand that this dude thinks this is funny. And he says something to Jeff that shook him. He says, "You told me not to take nothing off of nobody." He said, "I ain't taking nothing off nobody. This is what they did. This is what I did to them because they let this happen to me. My mom let him abuse me." This is his dad now. So Jeff sitting there looking at him like, "That ain't what I meant." Wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute. That ain't what? So the young dude told me, "What you mean? You told me not to take nothing off nobody." He said, "But I didn't mean to hurt nobody." He said, "Man, the people that I get into situations in here with is because they're talking crazy to me. They're trying to do something, and I want to make it out of here. He said, "I'm not in here for hurting people, man. I'm having to hurt people in here to survive it, but I'm not in here for hurting people." And he looked at me, he said, "What you in here for?" And he asked him, he telling me he was stealing stuff out there, robberies, stuff like that, you know? And now a young dude is sitting there, his protege looking at him like, it's almost like a part of him started to see Jeff like somebody that took advantage of him too. But this situation has 35 years on it. 35 years. So now, subconsciously, he put Jeff in the category that he put his parents in. "You just like everybody else," he said to Jeff. "You lied to me. You took advantage of me." And he stood up, and Jeff stood up. Now, don't get it twisted now. Just because he feels responsible don't mean he gonna let dude hurt him. He stood up, he said, "Man, look, I'm moving out tomorrow." And Jeff looks at him, he said, "Man, you don't have to do that." He said, "Man, yeah, I'm moving out, man." He said, "You ain't straight." I mean, he cut straight to it. He said, "You ain't straight." He said, "Now you telling me something else. That ain't what you was telling me when I was here the first time." And it crushes Jeff, man. It crushes him, man, in a way that he'd never felt such pain. Because he felt responsible for what had happened. He felt responsible for this young dude being in the penitentiary for 35 years. He felt responsible for that young dude beating his parents within an inch of their lives because of the stuff that he had put in his head. He felt responsible. Because see, when he was giving him this advice to survive this environment, that's like opening Pandora's box. Y'all know I like to use that analogy a lot. When you open up Pandora's box, you don't get to control what comes out and who it affects. Because you don't know the person that you're giving the advice to. If you don't know them and what they've been through, you do not know how they're going to process that and apply what you say to the circumstances that they might find themselves in. You don't know. So you have to be careful about saying things and leaving them in a context to where people are left to figure out what that means on their own. Even if you explained it in minute detail to some people, you still have to be cautious about that. Because people are going to take the meat and throw the bone away, y'all. It's just what it is. Instead of people taking the principle out of most things, they apply the entire story to their situations. You feel me? You did it like this, I'm going to do it like that. No, what I meant was something totally different. And Jeff laid in the bed that night trying to figure out what he could say to his protege to convince him not to move out. And he couldn't come up with anything. So he went to the counselor and he told the counselor, man, that he felt like he had done his protege wrong. And he told his counselor everything that he had done. And his counselor sit there with disgust on his face, looking at him, but at the same time, he understood what Jeff was trying to say, but you got two victims in this now, right? Now, not to say that his protege is not a victim because of what he said happened to him as a child. They're not dismissing that. But this situation didn't get better. It got worse. He could have killed them. He could have killed them. But because he came into the penitentiary system and was around somebody that was trying to survive the environment, somebody that he saw as a brother, a big brother, he was influenced by his actions and behavior, and Jeff's actions and behavior were not completely transparent. He didn't tell that young man that he didn't believe in hurting people, that he only believed in defending himself. He didn't tell that young man that the persona that he had started to live was something that he created to survive the environment. He didn't tell him that. He didn't see those tattoos on his back as something that he should be proud of. No, he was just using that to intimidate people. You'll be surprised at the length that a person will go to make sure that people understand that they are not playing. He went all the way. He got ink on him just to make sure people understood how serious he was about it, but it was all a front. It was all a front. So the counselor continued to talk to him for a few minutes because he saw how distressing it was to Jeff. And he told Jeff, he said, man, you got to make it right. He said, how am I going to make it right? He said, whether you can make it right with your protege or not is not the question here. He said, I hope that you can. And you just got to continue to be honest with him. He said, but the easiest route to that is to change your behavior. He said, we got these youth offenders coming in, right? We're trying to find people that'll be mentors to them, that can talk to them and tell them the truth about this. And he said, I think you will be a good candidate for it if you can let go of this reputation that you built for yourself in here. The counselor, everybody knew. He wasn't nobody to play with. They knew. And Jeff told him, let me think about it. So he went back to his cell that afternoon after he got off work, and his cellie still hadn't moved out yet because it takes a minute. You got to find somewhere to go. And, they got to make sure that it's somebody that, that you're not going to be victimized by, right? So he's in the cell and he's telling his protege, he said, look, man, I'm sorry that you got all of that time. He said, but that is not what I meant. He said, and if there's anything I can do to help you, I will when I get out, because Jeff had like a couple of more years to go. And he was going to get out. He'd been denied parole for whatever reason, but he was going to get out in a couple of more years no matter what. So his protege just was still upset and angry. It took him a minute. He finally moved out. And then Jeff got moved to the youth offender unit. And he became a mentor. And he talked to the guys and shared their stories and all this and that. And don't get me wrong, dude is a real deal Holyfield hard hitter. Hard hitter. But he had created this reputation like he was a violent offender. Like he didn't take any mess from anybody. And as he started to open up and share the story about why he did it, how he did it, and the length that he went to convince people that he was not afraid, right? And that he wanted to be left alone, what he didn't realize is that he was creating a persona that people would look up to. And let me make sure I'm saying this clearly for y'all, because I think you need to understand how twisted it can get in here. Those of you that think that this is for you, right? I want you to understand fully that you're playing with fire, okay? You come in here and you pretend to be somebody, because in penitentiary you can be anybody you want to be. You can tell any story that you want to tell. And nobody's really going to question it to the extent that they're going to try to shoot it down. If you're lying, you're lying, because 9 times out of 10, the people that you're talking to, they're lying too. So they're going to listen to you, and they might talk about you when you're not in their presence, but they're going to listen to whatever story you want to tell. And the reputation that comes from that is going to stick. But see, what happens later on down the line, somebody hears that story not knowing that it's not true. Let me give you a good example, man. I remember, man, when I was in rotation, and the brethren. You know, I've never in my life, and most people that are gangster disciples never met the champion, Larry Hoover. Never met him. Never met him. But all the stories that I heard about him and the things, the mythology attached to his name and all this and that, man, he was, to me, 10 feet tall. King. Couldn't do no wrong. Untouchable, right? The image that I had gotten of him in my head and in my heart didn't match the reality. He was in prison forever. And then when you break down the cases and the things that he was in prison for, it showed that he was human, just like me. He wasn't invincible. He wasn't 10 feet tall, right? But what we do, we attach these understandings, rather, in our mind of people to them and make them more than they even present themselves to be. We give them these reputations that they did not intend to have, but in some cases they intended it to be that way. And we start to treat them in that vein of how we've decided they are. If he's 10 feet tall, he can't do no wrong to me. Whatever he says, I'm doing it, I'm gone. And that's what Jeff's protege did. He saw Jeff as somebody that was 10 feet tall, couldn't do no wrong. And when Jeff was explaining that to these young offenders, how the mythology that gets attached to a person's name or the actions that they perform in here turns them into somebody that is not realistic, giving them this air of invincibility that makes you want to strive and be like that person. And then you start to act that out because your brain is not fully functioning, you know what I'm saying, to the capacity that it's mature. You know, it don't develop till you get 25. So you start to think that, you know, whatever they say is gold, whatever they say is right. But you're not attaching the reality of the situation. So wait a minute, if what he's saying is right, why is he sitting in front of me in prison? Why is he here? If everything he's saying is so right about the world and how you navigate it, why is he telling me this in this cell? Why does he go in when the officer says, lock yourselves down? Why does he go to chow when they say go to... He's in here with me. How can he be this person 10 feet tall? I'm going to tell you how. What we end up doing, we start to ignore our own reality. And we attach this invincibility to the reality of somebody else in order to give ourselves more meaning. Who wants to see themselves? Let me use me for an example. It took me a long time to get to the place that I am, but I'm going to make myself vulnerable here for a minute so you can understand something. It took a long time for me to accept the fact that I was a monster and I'd hurt people. You understand? I didn't want to acknowledge that. I wanted to give my life some type of meaning, even if I made it up. Because I didn't want to accept that I was this monster. And whether you're in here for a violent crime or not, the trappings, the environment, the concrete and the steel, all of these things make you see yourself in a bad, negative way. And you don't want to acknowledge that. You want to ignore that. You don't want to acknowledge that. So you create this persona like you hard, you straight, you cool, everything is straight. You up in here, you know what I'm saying? You drinking, you smoking because this ain't nothing to you. But at nighttime you laying in that bed and you crying up under the covers with your face buried in the pillow because you don't want your celly to hear. Or when you getting on the phone and your gal tell you that she's falling in love with somebody else, she still love you, but not that way. You get silent on the phone and hang it up, and when you get off the phone, you call all kind of B's and H's because you can't handle it. You get upset by it because you're hurt. But you don't want to embrace that. Because by embracing that, it becomes real to you. And when it becomes real to you, you don't know how to deal with it. So we create these personas, these reputations that we want everybody to see us as, and then the wrong person hears it. And he's telling these young dudes that this story, and some are getting it, most are not. But he's committed to living it. He's committed to living it. And this goes on for about 1.5 years or so. And his protege, he's gone on the compound. He's building a reputation, you know what I'm saying, equal to what Jeff did. He's not getting tattoos, but he's fighting every day. He's getting into something every day. And Jeff knows why he's doing it, because he's hurting. He's hurting. And he feels the blame. And every time he gets a chance, he sits him down and he talks to him. And he blows him off. His protege blows him off. He don't want to rap. Because, see, he got to face this 35. He got to face the fact that he almost killed his own parents, even though he says his parents victimized him. Right? Can't deal with it. Can't face it. And that's what we do. So this Grim Reaper guy, this persona that he put out there, now he's standing in front of kids every day. Right? On the streets. He came back a couple of times. I'll give you that. Because just because you turn yourself around don't mean that you won't be re-triggered and all of these different type of things. A lot of people think that, you know, if you can follow the rules in here, you should be able to follow the rules out there. But I'm going to tell you something. Listen to me. Unless you work on yourself, what's really going on the inside, you're going to have those situations where you fall back into your negative behavior. So you got to be serious about it, right? And see, Jeff did what a lot of people do. When he got out, his reputation followed him. And he's trying his best not to be that person. But see, some of the people that are related to some of the people that he knocked out and beat up, they ain't trying to hear that. And see, on the streets, there ain't no fighting. It's gunplay, right? So he found himself in a situation because of this reputation that he built for himself where he had to defend himself. Yeah. He had to defend himself. But see, the system is not trying to hear this about self-defense now. Even though that's what it was. And he's fighting it out in court. Going back and forth to court trying to fight it. Saying that he was defending himself. Even though he has witnesses that say he was approached. He was assaulted first. But he put in work. He put in work. But guess what? He's a convicted felon. So they ain't trying to play. Lock him up and we'll sort it out later. So yeah, he's fighting his case and it looks like he might be going back home, but that is how you get sucked into this. That is how you end up on the wrong side of this thing, and the consequences are long. They don't just go away because you turn your life around. You have to be fully committed. And one of the things that he told me was while he was back in prison, he understood that, well, he accepted it anyway, that it was karma. He messed his protege's life up and he had to deal with it, and he thought that the things that were coming back on him were because of the lies that he told to his protege. And that's part of it too. A lot of the guys in the youth offender program listened to him and they got up and they turned their lives around. And he met a few of them before he ended up coming back, and they thanked him. They thanked him. Pay attention to what I'm saying here, y'all. Don't build a reputation that you can't live up to, that you don't want to live up to. Don't build a reputation where you think it's for the moment. Reputations, man, have a way of following you, even when you've left it alone. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.